Hey guys, I'm back kind of. I think the last video was about 3 years ago on the SIG 365. So thanks to everybody who watched that video. It was a lot of fun, but I haven't uploaded a video since then. So it's been quite a while. The reason I'm here today is because we're gonna do a 5-year update on this Tikka TAC A1. So here we are to do that. A lot's changed in my life. I kind of want to give you guys a quick channel update because I haven't made a video in 3 years, but don't worry, I won't take too much of your time, hopefully, even though the last video I think was like 45 minutes long and a lot of people really liked it. So I don't think this one's going to be that long, but I don't know, you never know. This is how much planning I've done. So that here's my checklist for what to say in this video. But anyway, I digress. I'm gonna kind of get into it here. Of course, there's some other guns on the table that you may recognize from some other videos. If you haven't checked out my build video on this one, it's really cool. So go check it out. Not a ton's changed on that, but maybe we'll talk about that at a later date if I ever do another YouTube video. And this gun's really fun too. This is a 300 blackout handy rifle, single shot, which is really a lot of fun. This is a really cool gun too, but I just wanted to give you guys something else to look at to get this video started. So step one, gun's empty. This isn't a gun I generally keep loaded in the house for home defense, so I just took it out of my safe. But you've heard me say that in previous videos, your gun's no good if it's not loaded. But in this case, like I said, this is not a home defense gun, so I'm not running to the safe to grab this tank to get it out. So anyway, here's the quick channel update. I got a new job. I don't sell guns anymore, so I'm a little out of the loop, maybe you would say. I still keep up on YouTube and watch a ton of gun content. I'm still super passionate about it, obviously, but nowhere near as much as I used to be. So this is not going to be a video telling you what rifle to buy now, because it's probably changed a lot in the last 5 years. 5 years ago, this was easily the rifle to buy. I'm sure it's still a great rifle, but I'm sure some other people have come up with some pretty cool stuff in the meantime as well. So anyway, that's kind of my disclaimer about that. I would still be very comfortable telling you to buy this gun. If you haven't watched the first video, go watch it. And then come back and watch this one and see kind of how I've perfected the system, if you will, since then, at least for my use case, of course. So, right, new job. I don't work in the gun industry anymore. I got married. I have 2 children now, and it's been amazing. But of course, anybody else who's ever been doing a lot of shooting in their life and then has gotten married and got kids quickly has realized that you probably don't get to shoot as much as you used to. So I haven't been shooting quite as much as I've used to. So I've gotten into some other hobbies pretty heavy, like home theater, which I've been into for a long time. But again, there's kind of the channel update. I don't shoot near as much, and when I do, it's usually planned, and I'm generally introducing new people to shooting when I do get to go shoot. So that's been a lot of fun, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in the video. But there's your channel update. This will probably be my last video for a long time again. I would be shocked if I updated it, this channel within the next year after this, because I've just got a lot going on. It's a lot of work. And for those of you out there who YouTube full-time, thank you so much. We really appreciate your content. It's a lot of work. So make sure you're giving those other guys out there likes and subscribes. I'm not going to list them all off, but you get the idea. So anyway, here's the gun. This is still the Tikka TAC A1, and I absolutely love this rifle. I've been shooting guns for a long time, since I can remember, since I was a very young child, and it takes a long time to get very confident in a system. I had that kind of stage in my life where I was, I don't know, maybe when I was 25 or 26, and I just had guns everywhere. I had, I had multiple Glocks. I had like 5 Glock 19s at one point. You know, I had multiple precision rifles. I had multiple AR-15s, and I kind of was like, you know, these are cool, but I only got 2 hands, so I can only shoot so many at once. So I thought it would maybe be a better idea to pick a couple primary systems and get as proficient as possible. And that's generally what I've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years here. So this has been my primary precision rifle for that whole time. So yeah, take that as you will, I guess. I've only really been shooting this rifle long range. Everything else is has a different purpose. That being said, for those of you who don't know, this rifle, it's pretty simple. It's a Tikka TAC A1. It's chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. We'll get into the details in a minute. But for the most part, I guess now this is factory. The rest isn't. But we'll cover that. So here's what's changed since the last video on this gun. Let's talk about the bipod real quick. So previously I had the Atlas PRS bipod. I think it was the PRS. It was an older Atlas. That thing was freaking awesome. I absolutely adored that bipod. I still have it. I use it on other guns. It works really, really well. But on my last, I guess, long range shooting trip with this gun, we were trying to shoot out to distances of about a mile and beyond. And I kind of noticed that I didn't have the stability I wanted when taking those really, really long shots. Now, of course, this gun isn't really designed for taking shots that far. It certainly can do it, but for the most part, this gun has a great time around 1,500 yards and in. It has a lot of fun there. It works really well, and it's very consistent. But the moral of the story is, at distances beyond 1,500, I really thought that I could maybe improve my experience at distance and improve the speed at which I could spot my shots, right? Spot my misses, which for those of you who shoot long range know that if you got to be able to spot your misses so you can make a correction. And anybody who tells you they're gonna hit that mile yard, you know, target on their first shot is probably not going to. I know there are people out there that can do it. Don't link me to some Jedi master who can do it every time, but you know what I'm talking about if you're watching this video, hopefully. But I wanted to, you know, see if I could get an even more stable gun. And I've seen a lot of those F-class bipods that are super wide, and that was just a little too far for me for what I was doing. This is still kind of my primary long-range hunting gun too. So it needs to double as that, and it's really on the edge of being too large and cumbersome to be a hunting gun, but that's up for you to decide, not me. That being said, I'm very happy with the decision to switch to the 5H bipod. I don't know if Atlas has got any new bipods at this point or if they've got a bigger one or whatever, but this is their like 50 BMG rated tank bipod. And it's incredible. It's really, really cool bipod because of how well it's made. It supports this rifle with absolutely no issues. And this is I think it's a 21-pound gun at the time of this review. So it does a really good job with that. I will tell you though, the big downside to this bipod is it's cumbersome. It's clunky at best, I guess. You know, most of you can run your normal bipod kind of stowed up under the barrel, but you'll kind of see if I can get this on under pressure. I need to tighten that up, but it's kind of a bear to maneuver. If I want to put this in a bag, my bag kind of has to be at least that big, and it doesn't really lay down sideways. It's a kind of a pain in the ass. But all things being considered, of course, it's a trade-off, just like everything else in this hobby. So when you're shooting, it's amazingly stable, obviously. Kind of the higher we can get that bipod to the center of the bore, even above the bore, is going to give us a better shooting experience when it comes to recoil management and that type of thing. So you get the idea. It's an awesome bipod, but it's pretty big. I mean, when I transport this gun, I have to carry this thing like this, and I kind of stick it down in a big pocket of my bag, and it doesn't really fit. And you know, it is what it is. But once I get the gun set up, it's excellent. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So there you go. I would recommend probably just getting one of each, depending on your situation. That's, you know, on the American Defense Quick Detach mount. Get a nice little rail piece on the bottom. This is an Arasaka rail piece. You can see it's super heavy duty because it's got, you know, 3 M-lock keys and like a very small piece of rail. So I'm not worried about that popping off. I have previously used the Kinetic Development Group Quick Attach M-lock rails, which those are pretty cool. I might roll on a picture or something, but when you use the shorter one, like this size, absolutely can't hold this much weight. You need to get at least the 5 or I think the 7 slot one to accomplish that. But at the end of the day, I wanted this system to be just a little more rigid, so I chose to not use that on this. For lighter weight platforms, those things work really, really well. So there you go. I'm obviously going to be taking breaths throughout this video and maybe having a drink of tea because I'm not used to talking this much anymore. So bear with me. So there's your bipod. The Atlases are killer. I know there's some new bipods out that are competing. The TAC seem to be getting a lot of good press. The SkyPod I think is still awesome. I don't see a lot of talk about it, but it's out there. That's spelled, I think, CYKE or something weird like that if you're looking for it, by the way. I forgot who makes it. But it's supposed to be pretty cool. There's all sorts of cool stuff out there. So keep that in mind. It's just my experience with this one. What else has changed on this gun? So I've got this little thing. I think they call this a match saver. I don't really have any use for this. At least I haven't yet, but it was given to me in a box of goodies for free. So I thought, why not? Can't really hurt anything. I keep some of my my Barnes loads in here, my hunting loads. So I guess if I get in a situation where I need to just drop one in the chamber real quick, I can. Like I said, this gun's already clunky, and when the bipod's on it, it's already unbearable. So what's an extra 5 ounces here or whatever that is? So it seems fine. Everybody tells me it really looks cool, so that's half the battle, as we know. So as long as it looks cool, we're in good shape. That's new. I also have a throw lever on here now. I think this is an MK machining one. It works fine. Again, it's kind of cumbersome. It sticks out. It's 3D printed. It's kind of, you know, rough around the edges, I guess, but it is convenient to have. I go back and forth on this thing. Sometimes I leave it on, sometimes I take it off. It's nice during the hunting season when I've got gloves on or something. It makes it really easy to move magnification up. So there's that. Those are cheap. Those are like 15 bucks or something. If you want to try one out, I recommend having one just to give it a shot at that price. That's different. I'm sure I had a bubble level on it back then, but I don't know. I've got the little Vortex 34 millimeter bubble level on this thing now. Yeah, I mean, keeping your gun levels important for long range shooting, so why not have one of those on there? I've still got the Oddland or Adland, I don't know how he pronounces it, scope caps. These are still the best scope caps on the planet Earth ever made, as far as I know. I've got a video on these two on my channel. You should go watch that. If you're having problems with scope caps, if you're buying Butler Creek scope caps every 4 months or whatever, I've had these for 5 years, and they're as good as the day I bought them. They're absolutely incredible. Wouldn't trade them for the world. Again, I think I might have adjusted down the trigger since the last video, but it's factory trigger. I just use the Allen wrench and kind of set it down. I think it's about a one pole, I think a 1.5 pound to the wall, maybe right there, and about another pound for the so it's plenty great for this gun. Yeah, there's triggers out there that give you much crispier break, but I don't seem to have a problem hitting targets at distance. with that trigger. So I don't know that I would do anything to the trigger. The grip's the same. I'm still running the Magpul Miad grip on here. I think in the last video I said the only reason I put this on here is because a bunch of my AR-15s kind of have that same grip. So I thought, why not keep it consistent? And I just didn't love the grip that came with it. I'm trying to remember. I think it's kind of rubbery or something. But I don't particularly love the rubber grips. But anyway, that's what I've been using for 5 years. It still works. Do I have anything in the... I forgot this thing has the little bottom insert. Oh, man. I got a buddy who's going to be really excited to see this. I think he wants one of these. So that's cool. But I think he has a Bravo Company grip, so he might be shit out of luck. I might want to put that in an AR-15 or something. Oh, shit. I put this in the wrong one. Oh, God. No. Okay. We'll deal with that later. Anyway, there's your grip. It works good. I'm still, as far as the sling goes, I still just double up. I've got a Faro Concepts slingster on here that I use for my AR. And like I said earlier, I only have 2 hands. So if I'm going hunting with that, I'll just throw that sling on there. I've got the sling attachment points on the back here. There's the factory provided one there. And that's also a factory provided one, I believe, which is another thing I really like about this gun. Let's talk about the magazines real quick. If you do a little bit of research out there, you'll see mixed reviews on the magazines. They're fine for what I do, I guess, but like we've talked about before, I don't do any serious competition shooting. I probably should, but I don't. If I did, I may buy, there's some, super expensive custom magazine out there that's supposed to work, but it's like $200. But these overall work fine. Every once in a while, you'll get the top of the follower to kind of like pop up, and sometimes it gets stuck. Do that, but again, it sounds way worse than it is. It's really like probably like a 1 in 150 chamberings thing for me. So my factory mags seem to work fine. I don't have a problem with them falling out or anything like that, and I still love the location of this magazine release. It works really well. I don't like it on a lot of the other competing guns. So there you go. Same Night Force base, same Collis K624i. Collis has put out new scopes since I bought this one. I think they got 5-25 now, and maybe they're a little bit lighter weight, but man, I've said this to a lot of people, and I still think that the Collis optic is just absolutely one of the best out there for sure. I know we've got Zero Tolerance out there. I know we got IOR Valdata. I mean, I know we've got a bunch of cool new stuff too that's coming out. There's all sorts of optics out there. To my knowledge, this is still the only optic with the parallax on the top. Generally every other optic is going to have it on this side, and the reason that Collis does that is because with this system, my illumination is here on the right side and my windage is on the left. My elevation obviously is on the top, and my parallax is right here. And what that means is while I'm on this gun, I'm right-handed, so while my right hand is on the fire control, I can use my support hand, my left hand, to dial every aspect of my optic that matters. I can adjust my power, I can adjust my elevation, my windage, and my parallax. On pretty much every other scope, at least that I know of, your parallax is going to be on the right side. So you're going to have to kind of look around the edge of your gun, and adjust your position. And look over here. On the right side of the Collis, it's the illumination, so I could give a shit. I mean, illumination is great, and I also don't need to see the dial. I can turn the illumination knob and see in the reticle that I have illumination. So I think this setup for ergonomics is unmatched. It's a total game changer. It doesn't get enough credit in the industry. It's awesome. So I'm still recommending Collis optics, full stop. Lots of other great optics out there. For long range precision shooting, I'll never buy anything other than Collis at this point. So I mean, for a serious rifle build, I guess, for your top end rifle build, I don't expect everybody out there to put a callus on every rifle they have, because that would send most of us to the poorhouse. So there you have it. For those of you that don't know, the current version of this scope is about $3,300, but I'm telling you right now, the glass is absolutely phenomenal. The adjustments are phenomenal, and this optic has been bulletproof for 5 years for me. I've never had an issue with this optic. It is always zeroed. It's always correct. The zero stop works every single time. It locks up hard. It's just awesome. And that's what you can expect. If you've been in that situation before where, you go out to the range and you're trying to shoot some groups at 200, and some days they're just amazing, and other days you're like, well, I can't hit anything. I was that person. I've been there. I had a Remington 700 that it was all set up cool as shit. It was supposed to be just this awesome gun out of the box, and it was super inconsistent for me. I thought it was just me. I thought I was the one who couldn't shoot, because, you hear that all the time from the pros. Well, your gun is probably fine. You just suck, right? And that's usually true. But in this case, since I've had this gun, this scope, and this optic mount, has been wildly consistent for me. This is the only gun where I'm comfortable taking it out of the bag and shooting a 2-inch group at 200 yards, shooting sub MOA all the time consistently. This is the only gun I've ever had where I'm confident that I can do that. And that's kind of a feeling that, of course, it depends on who you are and your experience watching this video, but that's kind of a priceless feeling, in my opinion, because there's nothing worse than spending $2,500 or $3,000 or $4,000 on a rifle system and getting out there, in the woods to go hunt or to just go shoot targets that day. Most of us, if we have a range to go to, we've got to drive, ammo's expensive, blah, blah, blah. And then you get out there and you can't hit anything. And you're totally deflated, and you're like, well, this hobby sucks. I don't want to shoot anymore. This gun was $5,000. It's wasted all my money. So that being said, what I'm getting at is this gun always leaves me smiling every time I go to the range. Every time I shoot it, I'm happy with it. Now, and this is probably considered a mid-level system to a lot of you watching, because this is kind of a factory gun. We'll talk about the barrel in a minute. But I'd have to do the math real quick. This gun with the suppressor included is probably $6,000 or $7,000. I'd have to do the math. Maybe I'll put something up on the screen. I don't know. But after all the work I've got done to it, I've got a lot of money into this gun. But again, I don't regret any of it, because every time I go shoot it, the damn thing works, and it's reliable and it's accurate. So I think it's excellent. I kind of forgot where we were, but that's okay. We're probably talking about the optic. Yeah, the optic's excellent. Stick with Collis. I love it. It's reliable. It's worth the money. Let's talk about the barrel real quick. So there's a story. This is no longer the factory barrel. If you take a look at this barrel, you'll kind of see it's really thick, really thick. So this is kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to share it with you guys. So I'll drop some pictures in. For those of you who shoot a lot, know that carbon buildup on your guns and your muzzle brakes and whatever else, God, this thing's heavy, can get really bad over time, right? And this one actually hit with the kind of the little wire brush on my drill yesterday, and it basically didn't do shit. So I was in a similar situation to that a couple years ago. It was right before a long-range shooting trip that we had planned. And I thought, man, you know what? It's probably time to clean that muzzle brake, because it's pretty bad. I'd hate to go out there on that trip and then have accuracy issues and realize, my muzzle brake just got gunked up so much that it's causing issues with my bullet. So I tried to take it off with the wrench. I even have a breaker bar and a Magpul wrench and all of those fun tools, and I just couldn't get the thing off. And rather than just applying heat like a smart person and getting it off to clean it, I thought, well, I'll just put the gun in the vise and point it towards the floor and put a a glass jar below with the dip in it. So if you don't know about the dip, it's a 50%, 50-50 mixture of vinegar and peroxide. Once you mix this concoction, it will effectively take the coating or carbon or paint off of basically anything I've ever seen, Cerakote included, if you leave it long enough. So what I did was I put that jar, up to the edge of the barrel like this, and had plans to leave it in there for a couple hours and pull it out. However, I may have had a couple drinks and maybe just went to bed and left it in the dip overnight. When I came back, it was clean. It was clean. Actually, you know what? Stand by. I'll just go grab that barrel real quick. I think I'm gonna do this video in one cut, by the way. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. Go get a drink or something. Found it. All right, so, oh yeah, spoiler alert, it's not the factory barrel anymore. Here's the old barrel. So, as you can see, we got some serious pitting around the edge of the barrel. You can see where the glass kind of stopped, but it started taking the coating off the barrel and effectively ate out the rifling on the last inch of the barrel. So, I think it's ruined. So I've got, I don't know, 3 weeks till this trip or something, and I've got this. And I'm pretty sure this is a 24-inch barrel, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that looks right. So I think it's a 24-inch barrel. The good news is I had about 17 or 1,800 rounds in this factory barrel anyway. No, it wasn't even close to burn out. It's still shooting great. No problems, but I thought, well, now that I've ruined it, I might as well re-barrel it. Of course, I could have cut an inch or two off of this thing, had it rethreaded, and I'm sure it would have been fine. But I used that opportunity to upgrade. So this is a Bartline blank. It's chambered by Rivers Bend Gun Company here in Weston, Missouri. They're a relatively smaller shop, but they do really good work up there, and I'm really happy with how this gun turned out. So Bartline M24 contour, which I believe is the biggest contour you can get in this barrel. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but this is the one he had on hand. So yeah, I told him to spin it up. This is a 26-inch Bartline. This barrel's freaking sick, man. I was immediately impressed with the improvement to accuracy that I picked up adding this barrel. Now remember, the previous barrel was still excellent, but all of a sudden with this barrel, I'm shooting, half inch at 100 yards pretty consistently, which is quite amazing. So I was really happy with it. It turned out great. It worked perfectly. Killer job, worth the money spent, absolutely. So anyway, that's the story on the barrel. And at this point, I've been trying to keep track of my rounds, but it's less important than it has been in the past, I guess. So this barrel has at least 1,000 rounds on it at the current stage. So I've got quite a bit of experience with it, and it's been excellent. So there's your barrel story. The dip is amazing. It's going to clean off anything you need, but just get it off your barrel first before you put it in the glass jar. Also, huge important thing about using the dip. Hopefully you made it this far. The dip is super hazardous. So after you've cleaned something in it, it works really good on suppressor parts too, by the way, that get terribly gunked up. It will clean all that off, but the lead and the carbon that it takes off turn into liquid, right? Because you're putting in a liquid solution, and that makes a product called lead acetate, which is basically liquid filled with lead and carbon that you can absorb into your skin. So anytime you're using the dip, use gloves, dispose of it properly, It will kill your dog, you know, so don't be an idiot. Pay attention to what you're doing if you're going to use the dip. In most cases, try to do everything you can before using it. You've been warned, so that's on you. Anyway, so there's the dip. There's the embarrassing story of ruining the factory barrel. If anybody has any use for this, let me know. I'll send it to you, I guess, now that I've got it documented. But I was actually going to try to find a Tikka action and do a like a pistol with a 16-inch 6.5 Creedmoor barrel. Maybe hack this thing off at 16 and thread it. But it's really hard to find bare Tikka actions, I guess, which is annoying. So, you know, is what it is. But that kind of has that dream's come and gone. I've got an AR-15 in 6.5 Grendel now, so it's effectively the same damn thing. But anyway, yeah, if you have a use for this barrel, you want it, let me know and I'll send it to you. What else? So, ammo. Let's talk about ammo real quick. I'm going to give you kind of my load data off the top of my head, which means it's maybe not right. So again, another disclaimer, don't be an idiot if you're reloading your own ammo. Take your time, make sure everything's correct, build up to a charge in your gun. I've consistently had people tell me that I'm running a very hot charge in this gun, and I have been since day one. And it's the 147 grain ELD match from Hornady, 43.1 grains of H4350, and I'm using Lapua brass with a small rifle primer. I'm incredibly happy with the results. I think I actually broke out the chronograph not too long ago and was getting almost right at 3,000 feet per second with the Creedmoor 147s out of this barrel, which I think is pretty damn hot. I mean, let me know in the comments what you're shooting, but it's worked great for me. Very accurate, super consistent, a very fast load. So it works really well. That's what I use. I did notice quite an accuracy increase when I switched to Lapua brass. It's worth it. It lasts forever. I just finally had my first ones that have kind of been getting sticky in the chamber and stuff, and I'm not a reloading expert, but I think they have like maybe 20 firings on them. So if they'll last for 10 firings, I feel like you've got your money's worth. So get the Lapua brass, man. It's going to make you more accurate. It's worth the investment, in my opinion. And the small rifle primer, I don't know exactly what it does or why people like it, but I'll tell you what, it shoots damn good out of this gun. So, you know, use that information how you will. That's pretty much my load data. I think length is 2.85, I think. And of course, as I'm talking about my load data, this is not the bullet and load I've been talking about. I also have a hunting load that we prefer, which is the 127 grain Barnes LRX, all copper bullet. I think we're using Reloader 17 on this, just regular old beat up brass, whatever's laying around. For the hunting loads, they work great. I love Barnes copper bullets for hunting. But what I was getting at is I basically loaded them out as far as I can go so they'll fit in the magazine. I think that's 2.85. But if you want to go for serious accuracy, obviously you want to go through the steps. Go to the range, load 10 different batches, do your ladder tests, do all that fun stuff. If you're into that, but I've never been, I don't know, I just don't have the patience to sit out there for hours and hours and do seating depth. I'd rather be putting holes in paper or hitting steel. So I don't know. For me, this isn't an F-class competition gun. This is kind of an all-purpose, you know, hunting, long-range precision rifle type system. So I don't need to go crazy with the reloads. Okay. I think we're almost to the end. I don't know where we're at. Oh, it's longer than I expected, of course, as per usual. Stories. I wrote down stories on my list. So like I said, I've been taking a lot of people shooting recently. I got a new job where there's a lot of folks who haven't been, I don't know, properly initiated the firearms world, or what you can do with a gun, or how much fun it can be, or all of those things. So of course I've been trying to do that. I've helped one of the guys there build an AR-15, and he's freaking stoked about it, and he goes and shoots all the time, and it's awesome. We have a really good time. How that relates to this video is I've now had, just recently, at least 3 of the guys from work out at the range with me. At my range that I go to, they've got a plate rack at 200 yards and at 300 yards. The smallest plate on the 200-yard plate rack is a 4-inch plate. So it's a 2 MOA target, right? And I put all 3 of these guys on this gun, gave them a quick 10-minute tutorial. Here's how it works. Here's how you're going to shoot, you know, proper follow through, natural point of aim, all that fun stuff. We built their position, and all 3 of them hit a 4-inch target at 200 yards on their first shot. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, that's unimpressive, right? A 2 MOA target, whatever. But these guys have almost never shot precision rifle before, or mini guns at all for that matter. The guy I took yesterday said he's maybe shot 100 rounds in his whole life. So he hit the target on the first shot. That's incredible. This gun, of course, we know it's not the gun, it's the shooter, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have a really nice gun. So that being said, again, consistent, reliable. There are some days, you know, where we're bouncing around the target a little bit. I'm not gonna, you know, say that this gun doesn't miss, but it's not far from it. I mean, it's always doing its job. The question is, are you doing your job, right? So if you're missing, it's most likely your fault, which is new for me, like we talked about in the last 7 or 8 years or so. Now I have guns where if I miss, I'm like, well, I got to do better. I need to come up with a better correction. And that's why people spend this much money on their guns, because they don't have the time, or they've invested all of this money and now they're out here at the range and they're not hitting targets, and that's just not acceptable. So you have to kind of protect your investment, if you will, and make sure that you're getting the system to be consistent and work well. Which is why I love this gun so much, because it simply just does that. It just works well. Anyway, I think I'm going to try to wrap it up. I don't know where we're at, 35 minutes or so. That's a lot longer video than most of you guys like. Same silencer Kosaker 7.62. This thing weighs a ton, which is why it's relegated specifically to the gun that weighs a ton. I do have an Omega that I run on my AR-15s, and I'm really happy with that. It'll also work on here too, and it really doesn't change the point of impact either, FYI. So that's really it, guys. Oh, I got one more thing, actually. I did notice the other day, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it or not, but I think I bent the handguard on this gun because it's not quite lined up with the barrel. My video is kind of lagging, so I don't know if you can tell or not, but I don't know if any other guys have had this problem. Maybe easier to see from this way on, but I kind of had the feeling that we just took this gun on a hunting trip or something and put like a bunch of bags or heavy other gun cases on it and maybe tweaked it just a little bit. But for those of you who know, this is obviously a free floated system, so as long as the barrel is set straight in the action, it doesn't really matter. But it shoots pretty damn good, so I'm not worried about it. But just an FYI on that, I guess. I don't know if any of you other guys have had that issue or not, but I wanted to throw it out there. Okay, I'm gonna sign off before I keep jabbering. Thank you guys so much. I really enjoy reading the comments. I try to get to them as often as possible, but again, I'm busy. So I don't care if you like, share, or subscribe. I just hope you learned something and got some good data out of this video. That's it. Have a great day, guys.